If you are confused over why all of a sudden people are talking about Maju Forest, watch on so you'll know that it's not about the place that you have your IPPT or RTE. So, firstly, you need to know what happened last month. You see, what happened is simple. HDB released proposed plans on 10 July 2026 for two future housing areas. One is at Sunset Way in Clementi, within an area commonly known as Maju Forest. The other is at Gillman Barracks, near Telok Blangah. Now, usually when this happens, we will prepare our kids to BTO for flats in these areas, even when they have just started primary school. But unlike previous plans, there are some debates about this size. Let's start with Maju Forest. For a start, note that Maju Forest is not a Maju Camp, the camp that NS men often go for the IPPT or RT, although it's near there. Nor is it at Maju Avenue, which is at Serangoon Gardens and near to Chom Chom. Instead, Maju Forest is a regenerative secondary forest beside Clementi Forest and the Rail Corridor, and contain remnants of the former Jurong Railway Line. HDB studied an area about 23 hectares at Sunset Way, which has largely been zoned for residential use since the 1980 master plan. Under the current proposal, about 15 hectares may make way for private housing, while roughly 8 hectares will be retained. The retained section is expected to include a natural freshwater stream, its surrounding vegetation and greenery near the old railway line. A nature trail along the former railway road is also being studied. The environmental study recorded 286 plant species and 113 animal species. Among them, 49 plant species and 6 animal species were considered to be of conservation significance. Basically, not the whole forest will be used. The second site is Gillman Barracks. The former British military is now an atas arts and lifestyle precinct. The proposed development area covers about 40 hectares and is expected to contain both public and private homes. The plans propose about 8 hectares of green areas, including most of the native dominant secondary forest and the forest stream. The exact number of homes, housing mix, and development timelines for both locations have not been announced. Now, of course, for some of us, we don't really care much because it's not at our backyard, but to some people, it's different. You see, the proposals lead to objections from some residents, nature groups, and heritage advocates. For Maju Forest, the concerns include the loss of forest habitat, displacements of wildlife, and whether the remaining greenery will be sufficiently connected. Residents also raised concern about traffic, construction noise, and losing the green buffer around Sunset Way, a rather atas area with a very atas name. Over there, the names are like Sunset Square, Sunset View 1, not, Yishun Avenue 9 or Jurong West Avenue 5 1. Therefore, an online petition calling for the forest preservation had received more than 38,000 signatures by 5th August. Also, more than 100 residents attended an engagement session with HDB and local MPs last month. How about Gillman Barracks? Over there, concerns cover nature, heritage, and the future of the existing arts precinct. Also, hundreds of people attended community dialogues. In addition, existing commercial tenancies are expected to expire progressively by the second quarter of 2030, and the redevelopment will not shorten them. Well, it got debated so much that it got into parliament. If you are looking to advertise your business in this channel, we can help you. There are guaranteed views and many big brands have trusted us. Just click on the link in the description. On 4th August, Minister of State for National Development, Alvin Tan, responded to 18 parliamentary questions on the two sides. The discussion lasted close to 70 minutes, with 11 MPs and 2 NCMP also speaking. The government's position had two important parts. Firstly, Mr. Tan said both sides had already set aside for housing under Singapore's land use plans, and development will proceed. He said that many alternative locations for future housing use suggested by MPs were already either earmarked, needed for other national use, or could not be developed soon enough to meet near-term housing demand. Second, he said that the present layouts were not final. The environmental and heritage assessments were not conducted simply to justify a plan that had already been fixed. The studies and public feedback could still lead to changes in the layout and in how much greenery or heritage is retained. MPs asked whether more brownfield land could be used, whether alternative locations could be considered, how environmental reports could be easier to understand, and whether preserving the sites completely remained possible. Mr. Tan said agencies first tried to use vacant and previously developed land. However, he said no other suitable sites could meet near-term demands in this area. In other words, housing development at both locations will proceed. Nevertheless, the government will review the environmental and heritage findings together with the feedback received from the formal public consultation on the studies. Engagements with residents, nature groups, heritage groups, other stakeholders will continue. Also, the final layouts could therefore differ from those released in July. Possible changes include the positioning of buildings, the size and shape of retained greenery, ecological corridors, heritage retention, and additional safeguards. So yes, this means your 7-year-old kid still have a chance to BTO in these flats and fulfill your lifetime dream of staying close to a military camp. Even if part of Maju Camp will be cleared for housing, there's a big plot of forest in the middle of Singapore that will likely never be cleared. Watch this video to know why. Also, if you want to advertise with us, even as a standalone video, do contact us. Our website is in the description, or you can scan this QR code. Thank you for spending almost 5 minutes with me. I really appreciate it and hope you learned something.